This is Part 2 Episode 113. 5-Ring Flame Expelling Technique. 5-Ring Flame Expelling Technique. Tian Huazunge's ultimate move. Xiao Yan had never completely unleashed it ever since he had begun practicing it. Hence, he similarly had little knowledge of the might of this Do skill, which Tian Huazunge claimed to be almost comparable to a Tian-class Do skill. Today, however, this Do skill was completely unleashed by Xiao Yan's hands, because of this dangerous situation. This deep blue flame was called the Sea Demon Flame. It was not a heavenly flame. Instead, it was merely one of the stronger beast flames that Xiao Yan had obtained when collecting beast flames. This flame originated from the body of a rank 7 magical beast, the Sea Demon Beast. It was quite strong. Of course, it was naturally unable to compare with a heavenly flame. However, this thing cannot be missing now that Xiao Yan wanted to use the 5-ring flame expelling technique. The deep blue flame appeared and immediately swelled. It wiggled in a mysterious manner, before transforming into a 100-foot large, deep blue fire wolf. The 5-ring flame expelling technique required 5 types of flames to form 5 different fire spirits: a wolf, a leopard, a lion, a tiger, and a dragon. Only when all 5 types of fire spirits appeared together would it be possible to form the 5-ring flame expelling formation. Its strength was extremely frightening. However, it was a little unfortunate that Xiao Yan was only able to form 3 figures of the 5 spirits using 3 types of heavenly flames. Thus, its strength would be slightly reduced. Even if that was the case, its strength was still sufficient to burn the seas and boil the skies. The seal of Xiao Yan's hands changed once again, after forming the fire wolf spirit. A fiery red bead quietly appeared in his palm. The sunlight from the sky caused a large cluster of white-colored flames to appear on Xiao Yan's palm. Xiao Yan's mind controlled this cluster of white-colored flames as it swiftly wiggled. Within a short period of time, it agglomerated into a fire leopard spirit. With Xiao Yan's current flame-controlling ability, and his practice of the flame creation skill, he had already reached the requirement needed for this 5-ring flame expelling technique. The formation of 5 types of fire spirits did not pose much difficulty to him. A large fire wolf and fire leopard stood in front of Xiao Yan in a ferocious manner. They emitted a low roar to Tian Shi's group. This action of Xiao Yan had also caused Tian Shi's group to be somewhat surprised. They were a little uncertain about Xiao Yan's intention. While Tian Shi's group was feeling surprise, Xiao Yan's hands once again swiftly changed. A green, invisible, and dense white flames slowly appeared from his palm one after another. Following the appearance of these 3 types of heavenly flames, the temperature of this place significantly rose. The cold air barrier that covered Yi City intensely fluctuated. However, it was fortunate that there were many Ice River Valley's disciples providing cold chi to it. Therefore no paleness could be found on the barrier of cold air. The familiarity Xiao Yan had over these 3 types of heavenly flame was far greater than the 2 flames from earlier. Hence, the formation of the last 3 types of fire beast did not exhaust too much time. Within a few minutes, a lifelike lion fire spirit, a lifelike tiger fire spirit, and a lifelike dragon fire spirit were born from the churning heavenly flames, appearing in this place. The space of the sky trembled following the appearance of these 5 types of fire spirits. The originally quiet natural energy also seemed to be dragged by something as it became extremely violent. The sudden change that had appeared stirred the surprise of a countless number of people. A moment later, numerous gazes were thrown to the 5 large fire spirits beside Xiao Yan without any prior agreement. These 5 large beings had only just appeared when such a change was formed in nature. Clearly, there was definitely a relation between the occurrences. 5-ring flame expelling technique. It is unexpected that this little fellow has practiced it to this stage. Cuckoo, by having practiced my Do technique, he can be considered to have obtained some of my inheritance, right? Tian Huazunge's eyes was also attracted by the ripple in nature. Surprise flashed across his eyes when he saw the 5 familiar fire spirits. The corner of his mouth was immediately a little pleased. This Ice River Valley's way of doing things does really match the word despicable. Forget about bullying someone younger, just because you are older. Now, you even want to bully others with numbers. It really diminishes the prestige of a large sect. Tian Huazunge glanced at Tian Shuangzi in front of him and faintly chastised. The winner becomes the king while the loser becomes the bandit. My Ice River Valley only cares about the results when doing anything, not the process of how it is done. Tian Shuangzi gave a smile in the face of Tian Huazunge's mockery. He said, however, the performance of this brat has far exceeded my expectations. He will no longer have the protection of luck this time around. Qian Shuangzi clearly understood the strength of Qian Shi. Although Qian Shi had failed the last time, the reason for that was due to Qian Huozunja. Moreover, he was currently aided by 2 Ice River Valley's elders. With the 3 of them joining hands, no one below the level of a Dozun could fight with them. There was no need to even talk about Xiao Yan. Qian Huozunja remained non-committal. These 2 people stood in the sky without anyone being able to see through them. A big battle had erupted in the other place, but this side, which ought to be the battle that would attract the most attention, had 2 people facing each other like wooden pillars. They showed no traces of being about to fight. Of course, this kind of outer appearance was naturally only what an ordinary expert could see. In the eyes of those with good eyesight, they would naturally understand that Qian Huozunja and Qian Shuangzi had just experienced a dangerous clash. Both parties' auras were locked onto each other. As long as the aura either of them fluctuated even a little due to an external event, they would immediately attract a truly storm-like attack. An elite Dozun normally did not fight, but when they do, they would unleash a truly terrifying attack. The change in nature naturally did not escape the notice of Qian Shi's group. Their expressions immediately changed a little as their eyes sank while looking at the 5 fire spirits around Xiao Yang. Don't delay any longer. Attack. Qian Shi felt a little uneasiness within his heart. His expression was gloomy as he slammed the snake-shaped walking stick in his hand down, and he cried out with a deep voice. Bing Xian and Bing Hua nodded slightly upon hearing Qian Shi's words. They curled their hands and an ice-cold aura swiftly surged. Immediately, it transformed into 2 flickering ice swords. Threads of bone-chilling air continuously seeped out of them. The 5 fire spirit lingered around Xiao Yang's body. Hot flames continuously surged out of their bodies. Their high temperatures caused even the space itself to distort. The light formation had just been formed when a bright fire curtain rushed down, covering the space within a 100-meter radius within it. Qian Shi and the 2 others were also caught within this fire curtain. This sudden unexpected change caused the expression of Qian Shi's group to change. Their bodies moved and gathered together. All of their hands moved and majestic, cold auras surged out. Finally, they violently smashed into the surrounding fire curtain. However, all it did was cause the fire curtain to fluctuate a little. Their cold auras automatically disappeared upon contact with the fire curtain. Old Shi, the fire affinity energy within this formation is really too wild and violent. The Do Qi within our bodies is being suppressed. Bing Xian's expression changed as he uttered some words after sensing that his attack had considerably weakened. Qian Shi's face was gloomy. His gaze was dark and dense as he looked at Xiao Yang, who was also within this great formation. He spoke in a dense manner. There is no need to panic. Regardless of how many tactics this brat has, he will definitely be unable to defeat the 3 of us. Therefore, don't panic and lose focus. Xiao Yang looked at Qian Shi's group within the formation and coldly laughed. That may not be certain. The hand seal of Xiao Yang's hand suddenly changed after his voice sounded. Following the transformation of his hand, the surrounding fire curtain began to form ripples. Immediately, a 5-colored, brilliant flame surged out of it. After which, it transformed into a sea of flames that filled the light formation. The 5-colored flame was extremely beautiful. However, when this flame appeared, even Qian Shi's expression became ugly despite his strength, because he clearly sensed a kind of unusually destructive energy within the flame. 3 types of heavenly flames, 1 type of beast flames, and 1 type of mysterious sun flame. The 5 types of flames merged together and stimulated each other. The final creation could only be described by the word frightening. Sky incinerating expelling flames. Xiao Yang's expression was ice cold. The Do Qi within his body continuously surged out. Finally, it entered the fire curtain around him. His finger suddenly pointed at Qian Shi's 3 men group below. The unusually frightening 5-colored flame immediately appeared like a ferocious beast as it swept toward Qian Shi's group while being accompanied by distorted space. The current Xiao Yang had reached the strength of a 7-star Do Zone after having unleashed the Skyfire 3 mysterious change. There was not much of a gap between him and Qian Shi. After adding the fighting strength that was erupted from the 5-ring flame expelling technique, even Qian Shi could not help but feel shock within his heart. Qian Shi's expression slightly changed when he saw the colorful flame sweep over from all directions. Bing Xian and Bing Hua behind him felt their heads become numb. They could clearly sense an extremely violent, destructive might within the beautiful flame, this kind of destructive strength was something that even someone as strong as Qianxi needed to treat seriously. Otherwise, he would only end up dying on the spot. At this moment, the extremely proud elder Qianxi could not help but withdraw the poor estimation he made for Xiao Yan. The beautiful, five-colored flame swept across the sky. Its frighteningly high temperature caused the air to distort. One sight would appear a little blurry when one looked over. Faced with this terrifying, five-colored flames, a countless number of people within Yi City experienced a change in their expressions. Even with the isolation of the fire curtain, they could still sense the wild strength that caused one to be scared. It was difficult to imagine just what it would be like if they were in the place of Qianxi's group. This answer was something that those who had not experienced firsthand could not clearly give. However, regardless of how stupid a person was, he would know that this kind of feeling would definitely not allow one to feel good. Of course, it was just as everyone had expected. The expressions of Qianxi's group had become unusually ugly while they stood within the light formation. The destructive strength hidden within the brilliant flame was just like a poison needle hidden in the darkness, causing all of them to feel a continuous chill within their hearts. Old Shi, what should we do? Bing Xian swallowed a mouthful of saliva. His expression contained a little panic. That bright, five-colored sea of fire was really too frightening. If they were to allow themselves to fall into it, it was likely that the remaining 2 7-star Do zones would end up with a terrible fate. They were practitioners of ice-cold Do Qi. Currently, the five-colored flame had coincidentally suppressed them. If they did not use some techniques, it was likely that they would perish in this place when the flame arrived. What is there to panic about? Qianxi's expression sank as he coldly reprimanded. He immediately continued in a deep tone, he may have a formation, but so does our ice river valley. Form the ice river formation. This brat's explosive force is indeed very strong, but it will definitely be unable to last for long. Once the time limit of his Skyfire 3 mysterious changes up, this great formation will naturally be broken. At that time, it would only be too easy to kill him. Qianxi was indeed worthy of being an expert, renowned throughout the Pil region. Even in the face of such a situation, he did not reveal the slightest panic. Instead, he had identified the fatal weakness of Xiao Yang's strength within a sentence. Bing Xian's and Bing Hua's old faces turned red when they heard Qianxi reprimanding them. They immediately nodded. Both of them stepped forward and took a position of the formation. A bone-chilling aura surged out of their bodies. Qianxi's expression was dark and solemn as he looked at Xiao Yang in the distance. The snake-shaped walking stick in his hand slammed heavily against the empty air. A vast, mighty, cold aura surged out of his body and merged with the cold aura from the other two. It solidified into a clear white ice mirror that protected the three of them. The snow-white ice mirror was completely formed the mighty aura of these three people. Its defensive strength was extremely terrifying. It was likely that even an expert, at the peak of the Do Zone class, would have difficulty breaking it, even after using their entire strength. When this ice mirror was formed, the five-colored sea of flames came pouncing over. After which, it drowned the cold ice mirror within a fierce, intense flame. The five-colored flame had just made contact with the snow-white, cold ice mirror's surface when it suddenly emitted a sizzling sound. Tons of white-colored, cold fog poured from the surface of the ice-cold mirror, wildly blocking the burning and grilling of the five-colored flames. Droplets of ice-cold water continuously appeared on the surface of the ice mirror. After which, they rolled down the smooth mirror and were swiftly vaporized by the churning five-colored flame into nothingness. Old Shi, if this continues, it will be too much of a drain on our Do Qi. We might not even be able to endure until the time limit of that brat's secret technique is up. Bing Xian's palm was supporting the ice layer above his head. Cold Qi was following his arm and pouring into the ice layer. Even though this was the case, he was still able to sense an extremely wild and violent heat seeping in. Qianxi's expression was volatile. He had underestimated the destructive strength of the five-colored flames. Transfer all of the ice sun force within your bodies into mine when the ice mirror shatters. I will use the attack and kill that brat in one blow. Bing Xian and Bing Hua hesitated for a moment after hearing Qianxi's dense, cold voice. Immediately, they could only emit a bitterness from their mouths and nod. If the interior of their bodies did not possess the protection of the ice sun force, it was likely that they would suffer a ruthless searing pain in this terrifying sea of flames. Qianxi ignored their bitter smiles. His eyes were focused intently on a space outside of the ice mirror. There was a vague figure at that spot. Crack, the five-colored flame crazily raged. Under its terrifyingly high temperature, the amount of water droplets on the tough ice mirror began to increase. The thick ice mirror gradually became thinner. Quite a number of people within Yi City felt their heads become numb as they watched this exchange within the light formation. That young figure had given them a shock that they had difficulty imagining. Not only did he defeat a protector from the Hall of Souls, but he was currently relying on his own strength to trap the three great elders of the Ice River Valley within the Sea of Flames, causing them to be unable to move. This battle result would cause some heated blood to boil by just hearing about it, much less personally witnessing it at this moment. Crack! A slight sound was suddenly emitted from within the light formation, while a countless number of gazes were focusing on it. Immediately, many eyes abruptly narrowed. One could see numerous tiny cracks beginning to spread over the tough ice mirror. What a terrifying sea of flames. Even the combined strength of the three Ice River Valley's elders could not block it. Countless numbers of exclamations were immediately emitted from within Yi City when they saw this scene. Boom. The cracks spread at a faster speed. In the end, the ice mirror suddenly shook and blasted apart. Countless ice fragments shot in all directions as a shockingly cold aura spread out. For an instant, it even forced back this five-colored flame. While the cold chi spread, Bing Xian and Bing Hua let out a furious cry as each of them placed a palm on Qian Shi's back. A vast, mighty dough chi, that contained a tiny ice crumb, surged into Qian Shi's body. Rat, it ends here. The dense voice had just sounded when Qian Shi suddenly clenched his hand. Wave after wave of liquid, like faint blue energy, surged out of his hand. This kind of faint blue-colored energy still had some tiny ice fragments floating within it, emitting a strange luster. Qian Shi's hand grabbed this faint blue-colored liquid. After which, he suddenly pulled. This cluster of liquid wiggled and formed a 20-foot-large blue ice bow. The cold air in this place suddenly surged after this ice bow appeared. After which, even the monstrous five-colored flame from earlier began to withdraw some distance away. Ice God Bow. Qian Shi's expression was dark and cold. His hand pulled the bow string. A creaking sound was emitted as the bow was pulled until it was fully extended. The terrifying cold air gathered and a 10-foot-large, blue-colored ice arrow slowly appeared on the bow's string. The appearance of the ice arrow caused Xiao Yan's expression to sink. He could sense that even the permeating five-colored sea of fire had quietly parted to form a line for the target of the ice arrow. This Qian Shi is indeed worthy of being an expert, at the peak of the Do Zone class. He is so difficult to finish off. Xiao Yan gently inhaled a breath of air. A fierceness flashed across his eyes. The seal formed by his hands suddenly changed. Following the change in the seal formed by his hands, the five-colored flames that permeated the interior of the light formation began to churn. Immediately, the entire formation surged to Xiao Yan in all directions, gathering on his right hand. With an increasing amount of five-colored flames gathering on Xiao Yan's arm, 100-foot-large five-colored flame hand slowly wiggled and appeared. It was worn over Xiao Yan's hand. Looking at it from a distance, it appeared just like the arm of a fire god, possessing unrivaled power that could destroy the world. This arrow will take your life. The corner of Qian Shi's eyes were lifted when he saw the enormous flame arm. A ferocious expression was immediately added on his face. With a cold cry, the fully extended bow in hands emitted a bang, as it was released, Ice God Arrow, sealing the world in ice. When his fingers were released, the 10-foot-large blue ice arrow emitted a swoosh sound as it rushed out. The cold air of nature surged wherever the arrow passed. Even the surrounding fire curtain turned unusually dim. Xiao Yan's expression was fierce. He looked at the blue line magnifying at a lightning-like speed. The fierceness in it flashed and his body became a little sluggish. After which, his foot stepped on the empty air in front of a countless number of shocked gazes. He waved his fire god-like arm and violently slammed it toward the blue-colored arrow that was being shot over with a fierce momentum that would frighten anyone looking at it. Fire god arm, destroying the world. The five-colored flame and the ice blue light flew through the sky like meteorites. They used a kind of annihilation-like spectacular momentum and crushed ruthlessly together in front of a countless number of gazes. Bang! The enormous flame hand was just like an arm that was furiously swung by a fire god. It emitted a world-destroying strength when it came into contact with the arrow. A sharp, piercing sound resounded over the sky. This sound appeared to be able to penetrate one's soul, causing a painful expression to surface on the faces of a countless number of people. They firmly covered their ears. Bang! The ice-blue cold arrow blasted apart in all directions at this moment. Under this terrifying cold air, even empty space itself had a layer of ice fragments permeating over it. The enormous flame fist violently came smashing over from outside of the world that was formed by the cold aura. A frightening five-colored flame and an ice blue, cold air mixed together in an uncontrolled manner as they began a life and death erosion. The five-colored flame and the icy blue, cold air each occupied half of the sky. Both of them crazily shot out their energy. That shocking collision shook the sky. Tianxi's body stood in the sky. His body continued to tremble as the pressure that was emitted from within the cold air caused both of his arms to involuntarily feel as though they were about to be torn off. He clearly understood that if he took even half a step back, the destructive force of the large fire god hand would instantly break through the ice god arrow's icy mirror and slam him into mincemeat. Therefore, he would definitely not pull back even if he had to use his last remaining strength. Bing Xian, Bing Hua, transfer all of your Do Qi over. Tianxi's expression was savage. His eyes were just like poisonous snakes as they stared at the blurry figure within the cold fog. He furiously roared. Bing Xian and Bing Hua behind Tianxi were stunned when they heard his furious roar. They immediately grit their teeth as they placed their hands on Tianxi's back. The Do Qi within their bodies continued to surge into the other party's body. The pressure on Tianxi's arm was reduced after receiving the support of their vast, mighty Do Qi. A fierceness flashed across his eyes. He sternly cried out, "Extreme freezing." His cry sounded. The vast and mighty Do Qi he received agglomerated with the Do Qi within his body. After which, it surged into the permeating pale blue, cold fog. With this support, the temperature of the cold fog became frightening. At this moment, if an ordinary Do zone were to walk into it, they would be frozen into an ice sculpture within less than 10 breaths' time. Moreover, even a soul would not be able to escape from it. After receiving the fire pillar's strength, the arm of the fire god unleashed a bright glow once again. The ice on it disappeared with lightning-like speed. A fierceness flashed across Xiao Yan's face as he sensed the mighty strength within the arm of the fire god. After which, he swung his fist out and ruthlessly smashed into the permeating cold fog mirror below. Bang! This collision emitted a shockingly loud sound. An enormous energy ripple spread out in a lightning-like manner. After which, it collided with the fire curtain around it, causing the five-ring flame expelling technique to tremble. After the punch landed, the space where the flame and cold air made contact split apart. A 5-foot-large dark black hole appeared. The pure darkness within it caused one's head to feel numb. Cold air followed the arm of the fire god as it spread in all directions. The five-colored flame entered the cold fog, causing the frightening, pale blue fog to swiftly scatter. The arm of the fire god began to form numerous lines in the face of the corrosion of the cold air through every single opening it created. At the same time, the cold fog was swiftly scattering. The two frightening energies were diminishing after eroding each other. A sinister smile surfaced on Tianxi's face as he watched the swiftly weakening arm of the fire god and the cold fog. He had successfully blocked Xiao Yang's terrifying attack, and believed that it was impossible for Xiao Yan to unleash another attack of such a level. As long as he continued to delay things until the time limit for the Skyfire 3 mysterious flame was up, he would be able to knead Xiao Yan as he pleased. The cold air swiftly scattered in front of Tianxi's dark and cold gaze. Just when the cold air had completely vanished, the enormous arm of the fire god also emitted a boom sound and was blasted apart, transforming into ice fragments that scattered from the sky in all directions. Ha ha. Tianxi finally could not control his joy when the arm of the fire god blasted apart. His face became sinister as he laughed out loud. At this moment, it was pointless to think too much. With the only time that Tianxi had, he lifted the snake-shaped walking stick in his hand and used it to block his chest. Boom. A miracle did not occur. Xiao Yang's three-colored fire lotus was ruthlessly pressed into the snake-shaped walking stick on Tianxi's chest while he revealed a ferocious smile. After which, bang! A large firestorm erupted in front of a countless number of shocked eyes, sweeping through the sky as it occurred. The surrounding fire curtain was unable to endure any longer while the storm ravaged the sky. It blasted apart with a bang. The 5 fire spirits also slowly scattered at this moment. The firestorm swept around. Bing Xian and Bing Hua, who were a short distance behind Tianxi, did not have the time to dodge. They were violently struck, and ended up spitting out mouthfuls of fresh blood. Their bodies flew back like kites, with their strings broken. Finally, they fell to the ground and smashed hard into Yi City. Many of the buildings in Yi City were turned to rubble along the way. Countless numbers of gazers were stunned as they watched Bing Xian and Bing Hua fall. After which, they turned to look to the firestorm in the sky. A chill involuntarily spread across their hearts. Protector Wu in the sky looked at the firestorm. His illusionary body also rippled a little. The fighting strength that Xiao Yan had displayed caused him to feel the fear of death. Now, he finally began to regret his actions. Why did he take the initiative to receive this task, which he thought he would perform successfully with great ease, from the hands of the Honorable Elder, Dozun? This was because only now did he become aware that this task, which he thought he would very likely succeed, was one that was filled with danger. Bang! A figure suddenly flew out of the firestorm while Protector Wu was feeling regretful. Bright red fresh blood was repeatedly spat out of his mouth. Qian Shi. Protector Wu's sharp eyes saw the ghastly-faced, blood-covered figure that flew out. He was carrying half of the snake-shaped walking stick. It was surprisingly Qian Shi. However, the miserable appearance of the current Qian Shi was even worse than Protector Wu's earlier state. From the looks of it, he would at the very least end up seriously injured. Boom. Fresh blood covered Qian Shi's body as he violently fell into Yi City in front of many eyes. After which, he smashed onto the ground and formed an enormous pit. His body was lying within the pit. No one knew if he was dead or alive. The Ice River Valley has lost. The entire city was silent. Numerous eyes looked at the enormous pit, and their heads felt as though they were about to explode. The battles today had caused their hearts to be filled with only one word: shock. How many times can one see such a soul-stirring battle in one lifetime? Protector Wu's stunned eyes looked at Qian Shi with his unknown fate. The terror in his heart spread. He nodded his head, turned around, and fled. However, Protector Wu had just moved his body when the space behind him fluctuated. Immediately, a hand mysteriously appeared. It gently landed on Protector Wu's shoulder as a faint voice, that caused his entire body to stiffen, slowly sounded, "I will turn you to dust if you move again." Protector Wu's throat violently rolled. He slowly turned his head with much difficulty. A ferocious-looking, young face had revealed itself. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.